If you're having success, you will be recognized.
Yeah.
And your first opportunity, you're really setting yourself up for the next three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Kind of like being the thermostat, not the thermometer, right?
Correct.
Yes,
That's great.
Michael, thank you for joining us today. Look forward to the discussion. As you look back on your professional career and where you've worked, some lessons that you've learned, people you took away from, some mentors, what are some things that you've learned about leadership and how to lead certain, whether it's a division or overall operation? Tell us about some of those.
Yeah, I consider myself a lifelong learner. I'm constantly looking for people to influence me. President McCullough, I learned a lot from him. Dr. Sample, who was at USC at the time, the president. Surround yourself with people who can influence you.
Right.
And you're going to take something away from them. And I've been fortunate. I've been lucky. I say it all the time. I've worked for some icons in our industry, whether it's Joe Castiglione, the athletic director at Oklahoma, and what I learned from him, patience. Joe's very patient, and that's hard for me.
Right.
Because I like to move. But just learning from
Duly
him.
noted.
And how he would make decisions and taking his decision tree and really studying it. And now you're going to take something, you're going to put your own twist on it.
Right.
It's my own personality. But learning under him and just being a sponge.
Right.
One of the icons in our industry, Mal Moore, worked for at Alabama. And just seeing how he went about his business and being the inner circles and learning from him as much. He's now deceased, God rest his soul, but just learning from him, I think I learned a lot from Mal Moore. And then Ben Sutton, who's an icon, whether it's ISP or IMG, and just his entrepreneurship, looking ahead. His vision. Terry Don Phillips, who was at Clemson, who a lot of people don't realize really got me in this business. I worked for him at Arkansas while I was getting a GA, and then went to Oklahoma State with him for briefly 6 months to get in there, but kind of worked under him during my GA, and just learning from him, and kind of got me my start in this business. And then Jerry, the Jones family, and just their entrepreneurship, how they think things, and what they're visionaries.
Right.
And what they're looking. They're not looking right now. They're looking 10 years from now. What's the impact? And that's something I really learned. Joe Castiglione was a little. Derry Don was like that. All the great people I got to work under and learn from. You kind of take a little bit from.
Right.
Now you put your own style, but you take the core values and what they're doing and really what they set forth to grow businesses, to grow the departments, and learning from them how they looked 5 years ahead.
Right.
And they weren't worried about tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow was baked a long time ago.
That's right.
It's the decisions you make now. What's the lasting impact? And what's your legacy going forward that you were able to build on because of the decisions or the motions or everything you set forth right now to move. Some people don't always understand, but you're looking here. What's the impact here, not here? Yeah. And that's what I learned most from those people. And just taking a little bit and just putting your own style on it.
Yeah, I know it's a story you've told me one time about Jerry Jones, that you went in a meeting and he kind of sits back and is like, all right, boys, how are we going to make money today?
Yes.
Like his focus was just crystal clear on that. So from
growing the enterprise.
Yeah,
what are we doing to grow the enterprise?
Yeah, and I know you talk about that here a lot, all the components and how they work together. So I think that's really cool how, you take bits and pieces. You mentioned Terry Don. It's kind of, people kind of forget he's the one that hired Dabo.
Yes.
And so
I got a funny story where I can't tell the story of him, but he called me during that search, and when he was making that transition, and I was actually working for ESPN out in LA, and asked me to provide him some names. He goes, "What do you think? Provide me who you think." So I gave him, of course, Dabo was not one.
Right.
And I didn't know it.
Right.
And he makes that hire. And he goes, "This is the direction I'm going." I'm like, "Who?
Exactly.
Are you sure about this?"
Right.
But I think it worked out.
Yeah, I think it worked out. Well, and it goes back to the whole premise that it's lonely at the top.
Yes.
Being a leader doesn't mean that everybody's your friend.
Correct.
Doesn't mean you're going to be surrounded with everybody who's like, "Oh, I think you're doing a great job." over the past couple of years, as Florida State has talked to the ACC and looked at the landscape of college athletics, you and Dr. McCullough, Peter Collins, and others have been a leader across the country. And I think when you stepped out on that diving board, people were like, what? Now,
Correct.
Florida State fans loved it, but nationally,
we took
talk
some
through
heat.
that a little bit about what that looked like for you as a leader.
Yeah, it was, call it doing what's right. I work for Florida State University. I've got to make sure that we're putting Florida State University in the best position for the long-term success, sustainable success.
Right.
And what does that look like? And what motions or what decisions do you have to make? So we made a decision to move forward to challenge this. We were a canary in the coal mine.
Right.
People were looking at us like, what do you, no one has ever challenged that conference before, a conference. And really, we were just asking questions.
Right.
We were wanting to make sure that we were putting Florida State first. And what does that look like? And you immediately went to the media contract. Some things aren't like others.
Right.
When you're driving that high of percentage of the value of that media contract with the changing collegiate environment and market, we needed to take a look at that in order to make sure that we were competitive amongst our peers nationally moving forward. And once again, we weren't thinking this year.
Right. Down the road.
We're thinking down the road.
That's right.
What does it look like in 2030? Where's this collegiate market? Where are we anticipating changes coming?
That's right.
Where are we anticipating something changing within our environment? And what are we doing now to make sure that those steps are in place? So we have the opportunities to take advantage when we can even move Florida State even more forward.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, I think one of the things from a leadership standpoint, when you're literally like walking out the plank and you're like, man, here we go. This is going to be one of those times.
You got to be able to take criticism.
Yeah,
because you know it's the right thing to do.
Correct. So for you, like, what's your gut? Do you go like, my gut's telling me this, and I just go, like, I know this is the right thing because, like you said, it's the right thing for Florida State is what my role is. So how do you have the I guess cemented belief that you're okay going out on that diving board because you know it's right?
Yeah, and it's analytics.
Yeah.
I always say making a decision, and I do decision trees because there's going to be pros and cons.
Right.
Every decision you make, and this is something I got from Terry Don, every decision's got your pros and cons, and then every decision has more decisions down the road that are going, and you try to forecast those. But I'm very analytical. You know how I like to measure things. So when I'm making a decision, I really dive into analytics.
Yeah.
What are the analytics telling me? When we made that decision by the ACC, I knew the value.
Right.
I knew the value better than anyone else. I knew everybody in that room's value better than they knew their value.
Right. That's right.
I knew
which
what
is
was
a powerful thing.
I knew what was driving the marketplace. So analytics is key. Really dive into analytics. And then I think it's 25% relationships. Having a relationship as long as I've had in both businesses, had with Jim Phillips, relationship with the conference, relationship with every decision you're making, you got to get buy-in.
Right.
You got to have conversations with that. And then you mentioned gut, and it's 50% gut. You know what's right. You develop, you know the relationship side of things. But then it's gut of what's going to go forward.
Yeah.
But you've prepared.
Right.
You know the outcome, or you've studied what the potential outcome is.
Right.
But you still got to make that decision, and that gut's telling you got to go.
That's right.
Some people, when it comes to the gut, can't move.
Right. Paralysis.
They get scared. They're not willing to jump up on the plank.
Right.
But you, through your preparation, you know it's the right thing to do, and you just got to do it.
Yeah. Well, in the background, you can hear some construction going on, and I think this is another example of looking down the road from a leadership standpoint. You know, obviously we've got renovation here at Doak Campbell Stadium. We've got the Dunlap football facility going on. Talk through a little bit about, from your standpoint, what it looked like years ago when this was discussed, 5 years ago when this was being discussed, and here we are today. Just talk through from again, forecasting leadership standpoint of what may not be seen by all today or back then, but now it's coming to fruition.
Yeah, there's several factors that went into this. It's a 75-year-old stadium. Needed to be modernized. You do the analytics of our fan base. 60% drive from over 3.5 hours to get here on a game day. where they're coming from. Mercedes-Benz, Florida, Tampa. I mean, they're coming from pro stadiums.
Right.
And we contribute $100 million to the Leon community, Leon County community. And we need to continue that. We need to continue that fan experience because it is time and monetary.
Right.
You look at the hotels and filling those beds and what the cost, that commitment of our fan base. You look at the time commitment of getting here. And it's our duty to the community to keep that environment here. So it needed to be updated. And that was one thing we looked at. We also compared our football space to what everyone else had been. We were the lowest in the ACC in dedicated football space.
Right.
And the ACC, that's not nationally.
That's right.
We needed to update our facilities. But then also the driving factor for me was one, updating the facility and the fan experience, the football facility, but making sure Florida State was prepared. So then studying the changing environment in collegiate athletics, knowing what the House settlement was coming, not knowing the outcome. I actually projected higher than what it is. So that was a win. But knowing the timeline that this was going to hit.
Right.
And how do we put Florida State, I'm a good to great guy.
Right.
I am when the market's down, you invest. When the market's down, you double down.
Right.
And at the time, people were canceling building football facilities. You look at some of our peers, stop construction.
That's right.
And that is the time for me to build, to get ahead, to gain more market share. And so when we come out of this House case, I'm a firm believer that it's going to become standard business operations. And what's going to set yourself apart? Our stadium, our facility is going to come down to the education you provide, the coaches, the culture, which we have great, and where do I live? What's the facility I'm training in? How do I get prepared? What are they investing in me on that? And we're going to be ahead coming out of it because of this construction.
That's right.
So it's forecasting down the road on several factors, fan experience, and also where do we put Florida State in the proper place to take advantage of and double down.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and looking forward for the next 30 to 40, 50 years for this department. So as you're looking down the road and you know that, hey, the decision that you're making today, some people may agree with or not, but in the moment when there is negativity around you as a leader, how do you listen to it, but at the same time not let it impact you and how you feel and how you act?
Right. You hear it. There's no doubt about it. I'm a social media guy.
Right.
People are mean on social media.
Right.
Tell you a great story. My brother, who lives in Dallas, my niece came down one time down the stairs. She goes, "Dad, people are really angry at Uncle Michael right now." He's like, "Well, honey, what are they saying?" She goes, "I'd rather not say. They're just not happy with him on Twitter right now."
Yeah, that's
so,
funny.
You hear it, you listen to it, and it has an impact.
Right.
You can't say it.
I mean, you're human.
You're human.
Right.
As long as it's not personal.
Right. That's right.
But, you still have to look at what's best. And I go back to, you're not going to make everybody happy. But you do have to hear it, listen to it, take in consideration.
Right.
You're going to hear complaints. You're going to talk to people who don't agree with what you're doing. You're going to walk in a grocery store and someone's not going to agree with the football season going on. Not going to agree with the coaching hire you made. They may not have all the info, which is understandable.
Right.
But you still, you have to have, call it thick skin.
Right.
But more importantly, you got to have a belief in what you're doing.
Right.
And you have to know that you're doing the right thing. You've done the homework. You know this is the right thing to do.
Right.
And you've made a decision. You're going to stand by the decision. Never second guess your decision.
Right.
But you got to do your analytics. You got to do your homework to make it. But once you make it, you're moving forward.
That's right.
And we're going to move forward with it. So does it have an impact? Do you listen to it? Does it have an impact in your decision? Probably not.
Right.
But you are sensitive to it.
That's right.
And but you still got to make the decision for the best thing to move the organization forward, to move the person forward, to move the program forward. Whatever that decision is, you got to make it looking down the road.
Yeah, I'd say so. The ingredients that I just heard you talk about, obviously you got to do some homework, some analytics. I think having empathy and listening to other people is part of the analytics. You got to hear that, but you also got to have the courage and the steadfastness to be able to say, this is what we're doing and we're moving forward, which is action, and not have paralysis. So I think you provide a really good example of that.
Yeah, I'm going to make decisions and move forward. It's just been my personality my whole life.
Yep.
But I'm also going to be sensitive to the impact it has on others.
So as you go out and search for talent, whether it be coaching or staff, how do you identify other leaders? What qualities do you look for? But how do you know when you're like, oh, I think they're a great leader?
That's a very interesting question because it's really instinct. Whether it's a young person coming out of school, you go and I speak at classes, and people that ask me questions, I mark down.
Yeah.
And what kind of questions are they asking? Are they inquisitive on the right things? When making a coaching hire or a hire of the department, do they have that lean forward mentality? And then it's also, are they learning? Are they open to discussions? Are they open to what we're trying to get accomplished? Do they believe in our vision and want to be a part of that? And so it's just identifying different traits of someone. But if I had to wrap it up in 2 seconds, I go back, do they lean forward?
Right.
And that's just a personality that you pick up on early, and what kind of person they are and their core values. Do they fit our culture?
Yeah. I think that's, when I hear you say that about leaning forward, I mean, that's physically, but also mentally, are they curious?
Correct.
So I think that's a great way to put it. So Michael, you mentioned, that 50% of your decision making is from your gut, 25% really analytics, and 25% is developing relationships. So what goes into that for you as you develop relationship? What's that look like for you?
It's sharing a vision. It's one, being authentic.
Right.
Being who you are.
Always being yourself.
Being yourself. And just developing friendships, developing business acquaintances, developing whatever you need to do to help you make decisions, because you're going to rely on people and their expertise. And I'm going to call other ADs that I admire. They're going to call me on coaching hires, on building facilities, and use some of their experience and maybe something you don't have.
Right.
You're going to talk to donors in the business world. Give me. I learn more from our donor base, our boosters.
Right.
They help guide me in this decision. Now they all have opinions.
Right. Yeah,
of how we should be doing it.
You have to filter some of that.
Filter. But learning from their experiences and their successful careers, and how does that help me make a decision? So it's really just being yourself and not being afraid to ask questions. You don't know it all.
That's right.
You're not the answer to everything, but you're going to use those relationships to help guide you a little bit, and some other experiences of other people to help you form your base and what decision you think is the best move forward.
Yeah, I think asking questions, sometimes young leaders might think that's a sign of insecurity, but the truth is, when you're asking questions, it's a great sign of security.
Yes.
Of confidence, and asking questions about building your own confidence and learning from others. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, you never know it all.
Yeah.
You're going to learn from other people. Be a lifelong learner. Ask questions, especially people of success.
Yeah.
And what they did, because they all have different paths.
Yeah.
And as I learned from different mentors, that I was able to be an understudy and just be a sponge.
Right.
Continue to be a sponge on other people that are in the community, and what's driving that, and what's their influence on Florida State, because they have a passion for this institution and this athletic department, and really learn from them as much as you can to help guide the decisions you're making forward.
Yeah, and you mentioned, being a lifelong learner, and in college athletics, it's a small world. But one thing I've heard people say that they are a citizen of the industry. Yeah. And I think whether it's college athletics or, somebody's in construction or financial planning, being a citizen of that industry is vitally important. Do you think about that as you learn more about college athletics?
Yeah. I mean, it's developing those relationships. Yeah. You represent Florida State in this ecosystem. It's a big brand. Right. And you got to understand that. You understand that you need to go out and represent that brand the way it should be represented. Yeah. But also learning from other programs and making sure we're doing the right things. to set ourselves apart. And you do lean on experiences of other athletic directors at different institutions, but at the end of the day, you're going to do what's best for Florida State,
Right.
and always put Florida State first in everything that you do.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old adage you get. Remember who dug the well before you, right?
Yes,
You know?
and this place has there's such a rich history. Dave Hart and
Absolutely.
I, old athletic director, we talked this weekend. I was still learning and asking him about his time here and learning the history, and the history will help guide some of your decisions
Right.
that you're making, and learning from different people who's associated with Florida State or been through coaches that have been through here, and really learning the history to help you move forward.
You lead an entire department of people, and I'm making a parallel between athletics and business.
Yeah.
Because there are so many. I mean, the business operation, the entire enterprise is a $180 million business.
Correct.
Quite a again enterprise. So as you're making changes, what goes into your mind in terms of, do I need to make changes from a personnel standpoint? Do I need to make changes from an operational standpoint? As you're assessing and evaluating from a leader's perspective.
Yeah, analytics play a big
Yeah.
big key in that, as you know. But also, it gets back to the personalities, and where are you making decisions that puts Florida State first? Do you have the proper culture in place? When I'm hiring someone, they have to fit.
Yeah.
We have a very family culture. I go back to hiring coaches. One of the big decisions I make when hiring a coach is, do they fit the others 15, 16 head coaches that we have?
Right.
Do they fit that culture? Because that's a very special culture
Absolutely.
environment we have here at Florida State. It's different than any place I've ever worked in the support and what they mean to each other.
That's right.
And the different programs, the different silos and different cultures in each program, but they're aligned.
Yeah, there's a
And
common
there's
theme.
a common theme amongst them, and that's important. And you look at your personnel too. I like to hire young and hungry.
Yeah.
I say it all the time, because they're going to come in and drive and give them the tools to be successful.
Right.
That's one thing. You hire someone, you don't train them up. Well, train. I invest in training, bringing people
Absolutely.
in.
Yeah.
And training them, and so they can have success. Give them the tools to have success in the department, but you can't save them all.
Right.
I want them to grow, and a lot of them will leave on their own for a better position. That is great.
Right.
I want them to keep growing professionally, get the most that you can do here, and then go learn under someone else
Right.
as well. But it's looking for someone who's going to come in. Their work ethic is going to drive it. They're selfless. They're in the community, and they're also going to fit our culture.
Yeah.
And that, when I interview or look to move a department, even a whole department, if they're not fitting our culture, I got issues with that.
Right.
And if they're not looking to be better and looking to drive, it's not just a job.
Right.
You got to come in and want to move everything forward, and how do we do that? But it's giving them the resources to do it too.
As you have young people, student athletes or others that come to you today and they say, Mr. Alford, I'd love to talk to you. I need to get some advice. Are there, like, let's say 3 to 5 things that you just know instinctively, like, here are things I'm going to talk to you about from a leadership standpoint as I mentor young people?
Servant attitude. A lot of time I give them the book, The Servant.
Yeah.
I give a bunch in my office. And I think it's just a great book for a young person to read, to come in and understand, hey, the organization's bigger than you.
Right.
Sometimes you make it about yourself. And I talk to them a lot about, this is Florida State. It'll be Florida State when I leave.
Right.
That brand, and you're just a protector of that brand while you're here.
Right.
So it's talking to them about take advantage of opportunities, learn from coaches, kind of learn from different leaders on our campus, take things away, but really have that servant attitude moving forward. How can I go into an organization, make it better, and be selfless?
Yeah.
And you make the difference. You will get recognized.
Right.
You don't need to talk to people about being recognized.
Right.
If you're having success, you will be recognized.
Yeah.
And take those opportunities for the next opportunity. I tell them, but your first opportunity, you're really setting yourself up for the next 3. But that first opportunity is so important.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Kind of like being the thermostat, not the thermometer, right?
Correct.
Yes,
It's great
right.
analysis.
Yeah.
And so I talk to student athletes. They come to me all the time. And it's really about what kind of teammate were you, and be a good teammate. You've learned so much. College athletics teaches you how to have success.
Right.
And now go out and apply what you've learned here into the working environment, the job environment, and you will be successful. But you have to just be patient and selfless.
So in your role now, obviously it's larger than athletics. You're representing the entire university. We've got faculty, staff, we've got alums everywhere. It's one of the things you and I talk about. People mention to us like, well, I'm not sure of the Florida State fan base. And we both bristle at that because they're like, Florida State fan base is fantastic.
It's huge.
So what would you say to people out there who might be watching that are like, you know what, I think I want to maybe help. I want to get involved. I'd like to learn more, whether they're a Seminole Booster member, whether they support parts of campus, just kind of what's your message to everyone about Florida State and where we're going?
Well, at the end of the day, we're still changing lives.
Right.
That's why I got back into collegiate athletics, because you have that opportunity to leave an impact on someone, to shape their lives. We're talking 18, 22-year-old young men and women who now they're elite athletes. You're at Florida State. Elite athletes, but also it's their growth, it's their formidable years.
Right.
So what do we do as a staff to invest in them? You and I talk about it. I talk about the staff. I call it universal access, universal presence.
Right.
We're going to be. I'm not going to be the dude in the suit they don't know.
Right.
It's going to go in, have personal relationships with them, find out, and there's 500 of them, but get to know them all, and have those personal relationships. So the opportunity to help us make a difference, because we still support the educational mission of this university, and that's number one key for us.
Right.
But for us to give back, pour what we do into them, guide them through this process, prepare them on their journey is one thing we do with our leadership academies. Bring people in to help them, guide them, influence them, be an influence on them, and then set them to go have great careers in their business and give back to their communities where they're living. And we have the opportunity now, and we're doing such a great job of just preparing them for life, and just be there for them. And that's what being a booster, and that's what supporting Florida State allows us to do. You're giving back to young men and women's lives. You're changing that collegiate experience that prepares them to go on and be successful. And that's what we try to drive every day with every decision that we make. It's what's the impact on our student athletes.
Literally shaping the future.
You are literally shaping the future.
Whether it be in construction or in someone's life. So that's really cool. Was there anything that, that you would like to add from, your experience that we maybe haven't talked about, just from a leadership standpoint or Florida State in general?
Well, it's being a leader is about being up front. Out front. It's about making decisions that are the right decision. May not be the most popular right now, and you can't be afraid to lead by making decisions, but lead by also being out front. And people may not agree with the decision now, but 5 years from now, you're setting something up for it to be the right decision.
Right.
And it's not being afraid to step out on that plank, and we talked about that, because you've done the research, you know the analytics, you've developed the relationships, and it's the right thing to do. And you have to move forward. I had someone, it was Coach Saban, when I was at Alabama, told me one time, and this quote now has become famous, but he said it to me live. I'm sure it was not the first time, when we were talking about a tough decision, and I was walking out of his office. He goes, "Hey, Michael, to be a leader, you got to make decisions." I'm like, "Yeah, I understand." He goes, "You're not going to make everybody happy. If you want to make everybody happy, go sell ice cream for a living. Nobody gets mad at ice cream."
That's true.
He goes, "To be a leader,
that's right.
You have to be able to make the decision that is not going to make everyone happy, but is setting up the organization for the best thing in the future." And that's what we try to do here, is do the analytics and know what's best moving forward.
Well, I appreciate your time today, and just thank you for what you're doing in your role. Really, you're setting Florida State up for the future. We obviously love being a part of it and love supporting Florida State athletics. So just thank you for what you do.
Thank you, and what you've done with the Booster organization. We're growing. We're growing every day and getting the message out there about our student athletes. And that's what I also talk to our staff about, is we got 500 wonderful stories to go tell.
Right.
out there to our boosters and our alumni to go look at the kids you're supporting,
Right.
and making a difference in their lives. I appreciate all y'all do for us.
Oh, absolutely. Well, as always, we end everything with thank you. And
Thank you.
Go
Go
Knowles.
Knowles.